Take us. Ready, K2 sound? And roll K2 sound.
This is 4 News Now.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 4 News Now. Our top story is a breaking story, an investigation at the University of Miami involving financial irregularities that involve University of Miami athletes. We will have exclusive details. We will also have a live report from Sacramento, California, where officers arrest a man who's now a suspect in the murder of a Miami Springs police officer. Also, we will take you live to Port Everglades, where some 600 gallons of oil was spilled during refueling of a Panamanian shipping vessel. And our News Now report, the controversy over conceiving a cure. People who have children for the express purpose of using them as tissue donors. We will have 2 reports on this topic. We will also have a profile of one family who has taken this issue nationwide. But first, as we alluded to, our top story, a Channel 4 exclusive. It's breaking as we speak. It's something that the Channel 4 Sports Department, quite frankly, has been working on for over a month. Financial irregularities at the University of Miami involving University of Miami athletes. Ned, what can you tell us?
Channel 4 News has learned that for the past 10 weeks, the Department of Education, the FBI, and the U.S. Attorney's Office have been investigating financial aid fraud at the University of Miami. Allegedly, as many as 30 University of Miami students, maybe more, including athletes, were given federal financial aid they weren't entitled to. The investigation centers around Pell Grants, federally funded loans given to needy college students. Inside the athletic department, Tony Russell, a former financial aid department employee, allegedly falsified student financial aid reports so they could qualify for a Pell Grant in addition to their sports scholarships. Now, Pell Grants range from $400 to $3,700 in a single year. U.S. Attorney Dexter Layton acknowledged the investigation to Channel 4 News.
It's a regulatory issue initially and a criminal investigative issue depending on the intent of the particular individuals involved. And at some point, this office may take appropriate steps, but it's in an investigative stage.
Is it widespread?
Well, I really couldn't comment on it. How widespread is a function of at what levels. I mean, many students were involved, but exactly what they knew as they deferred to an individual who convinced them to let him fill out the forms. So anyway, it's a Department of Education matter.
All right, over the past 3 years, Russell and a co-conspirator in the financial aid office allegedly distributed the illegal money to students, including athletes. Russell and his accomplice would receive kickbacks of up to $80 from each student who received a bogus grant. Now, sources tell me Hanley Ward, a sophomore forward on the Hurricane basketball team, was one of those athletes receiving money. The amount of that grant has not been revealed. Golfer Steve Poulos also received a grant. Mealing Gilbert, a sophomore golfer at the university, did not take any illegal money, but unknowingly blew the whistle on the scam by mentioning in front of an athletic department official that she knew where athletes were going to get grants. Now, at that point, the scam was reported to school president Tad Foote. The university hired a private investigator, Wackenhut Corporation, to conduct an internal investigation. That report was then turned over to the U.S. Department of Education. Now, late today, the University of Miami released a statement acknowledging the possibility that a number of current and former students may have filed inaccurate federal financial aid applications with the U.S. Department of Education. The statement then read, and I quote from that statement, "After this discovery, the university immediately began an internal investigation. The university is cooperating fully with federal authorities. The investigation revealed that some of those involved may have been student athletes, so the NCAA has also been notified," unquote. So, Tony, as you said, we've been working on this story for over a month now. It breaks today, and it does involve student athletes that did take the money. I mentioned the golfers.
It also could involve students, right?
Students, too. In fact, it's more widespread perhaps around the students, but some student athletes did take it. No coaches reportedly had any knowledge of this from the beginning.
Okay, we will have more on this through our 90 minutes today. But first, let's go back to our news desk now to Susan Lichtman with today's top story. And I understand there's a search for a cop killer.
That's right. The search apparently is over, Tony. Police closing down whole neighborhoods in Miami looking for Merritt Alonzo Sims. Before, it was just for questioning. Tonight, the stakes are much higher.
We weren't prepared until we knew a little bit more about it as to make exact statements on who did what. At this time, he is a suspect in the murder of the officer from Miami Springs, Charles Stafford.
Sims turned up on the West Coast, picked up for petty traffic offenses in Sacramento, California. But Metro Dade detectives are more interested in his involvement in the killing of Officer Stafford. Channel 4's Dave Bloom is live now in Sacramento with the latest. Dave?
Oh, that's right, Susan. It was at this apartment complex in Sacramento, California, that Sims was picked up yesterday morning. Police tell us that when they walked in, Sims gave himself up. Authorities in Sacramento say Metro-Dade police knew that Merritt Alonzo Sims had lived in Sacramento before and might return here to his girlfriend's apartments on the city's north side. The sheriff's department here in Sacramento was the first to confirm that Sims is a suspect in the murder of Miami Springs officer Charles Stafford. Police say that Sims was arrested yesterday morning at his girlfriend's apartment.
Apparently some information was received from Miami to our department here that he might be headed this way because his girlfriend lives here. So yesterday morning, about 7:45 in the morning, they went to his girlfriend's apartment, which is on Polk Street, and they found him in her apartment at that time.
Sims will be arraigned in Sacramento tomorrow afternoon, but only on a parole violation and 2 misdemeanor warrants. No charges have been filed in connection with last week's murder of Miami Springs police officer Charles Stafford, gunned down as he was trying to pull over this car, which Metro-Dade police believe Sims may have stolen from his cousin.
Get away from me.
Did you know that both Sims and his Sacramento girlfriend have been questioned by Metro-Dade homicide investigators. Today, when Renee Collin returned to her apartment, she angrily refused to answer any questions.
That was Channel 4's Dave Bloom reporting live from Sacramento. We will have more on this breaking story as it develops. An incredible twist tonight in a Broward double killing. Turns out, according to police, the crime was a contract killing. But Channel 4's Jose Diaz-Balart says the hitman apparently hit the wrong people.
The couple shot to death in their Pompano apartment Monday were not supposed to die. Police say they were the victims of a murder-for-hire scheme that went wrong.
The 2 people who were killed just happened to be former roommates of the intended victim. They shouldn't have been killed. Somebody else was targeted.
Police won't identify the targeted man. They will say he moved out of the house last week. Officials say the intended victim owed this man, Pat Fino, $5,000. Fino allegedly hired Simon Henriksen and Eddie Kirkland to kill him. Pat Fino is the part owner of the 48th Street Bottle Club here in Pompano. The guy who is normally here in the front door is Eddie Kirkland.
The third suspect, Cy Henriksen, was an acquaintance of both. Fino hired Henriksen and Kirkland to do these murders for $1,000.
We knocked on the door of the Bottle Club tonight seeking comment. This man told me the owner wasn't in. He said he was just cleaning up the place, but added the club would remain open. Tonight, the 3 men remain behind bars at the Broward County Jail in separate cells. They're charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, murdering 2 people who unfortunately were at the wrong place at the wrong time. In Pompano, Jose Diaz-Balart, Channel 4 News.
Lawyers for William Kennedy Smith plan to ask that rape charges against Smith be dropped. Attorneys getting more time from Judge Mary Lupo to prepare that argument, contending that prosecutors generated publicity to support charges that Smith attacked a 29-year-old woman at the Kennedy estate. Judge Lupo was supposed to impose an order of silence on all involved parties today, but postponed that action as well. A top aide to President Bush under increasing fire over his travel habits. White House Chief of Staff John Sununu losing his flying privileges, turning to a chauffeur-driven White House limousine to visit a New York stamp auction. But Channel 4's Steve Handelsman in Washington says President Bush still stands by his man.
On the other hand, I think...
With little apparent enthusiasm, President Bush again defended his chief of staff's travel.
But nobody likes the appearance of impropriety.
Bush says he's checked and says John Sununu did work and did make calls from the White House car he took last week to a New York stamp show. So Bush says the trip was appropriate, but he clearly resents the bad publicity.
Well, I think when you have an appearance problem, I think all of us would agree. We want to try to avoid it as much as possible, and I think all of us have. But you shouldn't be judged by appearance. You ought to be judged by the fact.
Bush said nothing about Sununu's newest frequent flyer plan. Banned from personal travel on government planes, Sununu's been taking trips on jets owned by private companies. But Bush said Sununu's taking an unfair beating. And Bush says so is he on civil rights and other issues spearheaded by Sununu.
We got a good domestic agenda. And why some people don't understand that, I don't know. I can understand the Democrats not understanding it because very candidly they got a different domestic agenda. Happens to be a bad domestic agenda, but nevertheless it seems to dominate.
Bush says the issue is principles, but to many here today, it sounded like another preview of 1992 presidential politics. At the White House, Steve Handelsman, Channel 4 News.
New Russian President Boris Yeltsin in Washington today, fresh from his victory in the first free Russian election in history, greeted by top senators of both parties as he began a 4-day U.S. tour. Yeltsin is looking for U.S. support and was probably pleased to hear Senator Bob Dole say he hopes our government will work more with individual Russian republics and less with the central Soviet government. The International AIDS Conference in Florence, Italy, hearing criticism of U.S. policy banning immigration of AIDS patients. Several prominent scientists saying they'll boycott next year's conference in Boston if the ban on entry for HIV virus patients isn't lifted. Among the researchers, Dr. Jonas Salk, who discovered the polio vaccine. He says unfounded fears should not be allowed to prevail. Fears of more devastation in the Philippines as the Mount Pinatubo volcano continues to spew hot ash over the countryside. The disaster complicated by monsoon rains. American families living on 2 U.S. bases there getting out. The first of 20,000 American dependents arriving at McChord Air Force Base in Washington, telling of buildings crushed by rocks, and 24-hour patrols to stop looting at the abandoned Clark Air Force Base. The same rains pelting the Philippines causing killer floods in China. Workers desperately trying to save crops from rising waters, which have already ruined 2 million tons of wheat. At least 270 people have died in those raging floods. Time now for a quick check on the weather with Channel 4 meteorologist Brian Norcross. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Susan. It's been raining outside again today, but I have some good news. I think the pattern is going to shift a little bit next few days. Let's take a look outside Channel 4 right now in downtown Miami. It's 80 degrees, feels like 85. With the humidity at 72%, winds out of the southwest at 5, and a little over half an inch of rain has fallen here in about the last hour and a half, and a good shower that came through, but it's dying off now. Temperatures around town show you in the 80s for the most part, except Kendall is 77 because of showers out that way. Let's take a close-up look at the satellite picture here this afternoon and go through the day today. We started out clear here. You see it, and then here we go with the showers developing right over the metropolitan area, then starting a slow drift to the west. I think that's going to mean over the next few days, showers more inland than along the coast, so the weather is going to improve, at least for the coastal sections, a little bit here as we move toward the weekend. Here is your forecast now for South Florida for the boaters. Southeast wind tomorrow, that's going to tend to push things inland, 2 to 3 foot sea. Bays a moderate chop and a surf temperature at 85. Tonight, storms around through the evening and then dying on out, 76, although the rain is edging away from the coast now. 91 tomorrow, mostly inland storms. 4 more days, again, sunshine each day, and looks like better weather coming up. We'll detail the national weather and back with more in just a few minutes. Okay, Tony.
Okay, Brian, thank you very much. Let's talk about that big story brewing at Port Everglades. Some 600 gallons of oil spilled, forcing authorities to close John Lloyd State Park. As you can see, Port Everglades sits northeast of I-95, east of 995, northeast of the Fort Lauderdale International Airport. And standing by live now at Port Everglades, who's been there pretty much all day, Nick Bogert. Nick, what can you tell us? How did this happen?
Well, Tony, it's a story of stupidity, apparently. Anyway, we are along the channel right here at Port Everglades. Lining this part of the channel, as you can see, is this absorbent padding. You can see some of the oils come up on it in the last few minutes. The theory here is that as the tide moves in, it will push some of the oil up on here. All this oil came from that freighter over there, the Golden Hill, and a lot of the efforts all day have been to contain the oil around that ship and collect it there. But a lot of the efforts at this hour are among wildlife rescue workers, some of whom are equipped with little air horns like this one, who are trying to warn away the birds.
We have had some birds spotted, covered with oil, but they are still flying, and it might be several days before they're weak enough to be caught.
The toll could easily have been worse. The mangroves that took the biggest oil hit were little seedlings planted by the port just last year.
This whole area is probably going to have to be redone. All the seedlings are affected, but the good part about it is it doesn't appear to have gotten into the older mangroves inside of the Whiskey Creek area.
It's those mature mangroves where most of the wildlife feeds and breeds. As the tides went out this morning, so did a lot of oil, some of it emulsified and whipped into white foam by boat propellers. The Coast Guard says its aerial surveys show sheen as far north as Hillsborough Beach, 10 miles away. At John U. Lloyd State Park, rangers told beachgoers not to swim, just as a precaution, since the spill is for the most part still a mile offshore.
They said not to go in the water because there was an oil spill. Doesn't look bad to me.
What's that way?
But the water looks nice, huh?
The water looks nice and seems in there.
Beachgoers in Broward can expect some tar balls along with their seaweed in the next couple of days. The heavy Bunker C fuel oil will congeal out on the open water.
It's very difficult to pick up with any kind of absorbent pad or boom. You literally have to pick it up with a vacuum truck or rakes or manually pick it up out of the water.
Those ocean open cleanups going to be well nigh impossible. They may have a little better luck with the booms around here and around the ship trying to collect it here. At this point, the Coast Guard's still not sure who screwed this operation up, Tony, whether the fault was with the freighter or the oil barge that was trying to load the oil onto it.
Well, hopefully they'll find out soon. Thank you very much, Nick. We turn now to a topic of increasing controversy, the practice of parents having children for the sake of using that child as a transplant donor. You could call it conceiving for a cure. It's a last chance resort for most families who are trying to save another child. And the big story, the one that made all the nationwide attention, comes to us from California. They're on the cover of Time magazine, Marissa and Anissa Ayala, and they share more than just sisterhood. You see, Marissa was born just so her sister Anissa could live. 5 years ago, Mary and Abe Ayala were told their 14-year-old daughter Anissa had leukemia. Unless she received a bone marrow transplant, she would die.
And they told us that the chances were 1 in 20,000 to find a non-related donor. It was like...
And all there was 17,000 in the registry.
In the registry at the time.
So we already had struck out.
They also struck out with their son Aaron, whose marrow didn't match. Their best hope was another sibling who did not yet exist.
When we first decided to do this, we had really a good feeling. I mean, we prayed about it.
So the Ayalas decided to have another child, not an easy feat. Abe had to have his vasectomy surgically reversed, a procedure with a 40% success rate. Mary became pregnant with only 4-to-1 odds the baby's marrow would match. Also, at age 43, Mary faced the increased chance the child would be born with Down syndrome or other birth defects. Even though the child was born healthy, there was no guarantee of success.
We don't even know if it really is going to save my life. I mean, she's my baby sister. She's coming into our lives. We're going to love her for what she is.
Fortunately, the marrow did match. On June 4th, 14-month-old Marissa gave her sister the gift of life. For now, Anissa is recovering in the hospital. Doctors say she's doing fine. And so is Marissa, who's still too young to know just how special she is.
I would just like to tell her thanks for everything. I mean, not only for her bone marrow, but for what a great sister she is. I love her so much, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here.
Now, that bone marrow transplant is relatively safe, but there's no guarantee that the recipient will be cured. Conceiving for a cure is just filled with thorny ethical legal issues. We've talked to a number of experts about all the controversies. Here are just a few, and take a look at them. As in the Ayala case, there is often a risk to the child. In transplants other than bone marrow, there can be complications. Also, the issue of consent. It certainly goes without saying that a baby has no choice in this matter. And finally, some experts we talked with were shocked that this case went public. They just don't feel it's right to make such an intensely personal decision in the media. Now, we wanted to expand on this issue. We heard about the good that can come for conceiving a cure. But what about the other issues? Some of the things we talked about in this controversy. Let's go live now to Washington to Nellie Gray, president of March for Life. And Nellie, welcome. Thank you for being with us. What is your problem with this conceiving for a cure?
You know, the March for Life is designed to be able to assure that the sanctity of life is protected by the Constitution of the United States from the very moment of conception. What we are deeply concerned about is that that sanctity of life is violated. That's the reason we're very much against abortion, of course, which violates the sanctity of life by killing innocent human beings. And when we came into existence, we said that from abortion, unfortunately, may flow other evils. And those evils, we think, are euthanasia, killing handicapped, and so forth. And at the time that we said that, people said, well, that was a scare technique, that nothing like that would ever happen. But unfortunately, those things have happened, and technology has gone even beyond that.
Certainly. Let me interrupt you just
of manufacturing human beings. And what we're concerned about is the sanctity of life is violated when there is a manufacturing of a human being.
Granted. But let me ask ask you, in the specific case like in the Ayala family, where you have a loving family they want to raise this child that they brought into this world to save the sister, treasure that life, love that life. Do you have a problem with that?
We're not making any judgment at all about that individual family. We don't know enough facts about that individual family. I think we can make a judgment about the principles involved, however. And the principles that I'm deeply concerned about is that the good that comes from someone in a loving family is taken over by a commercial interest. And the next thing you know, we see rearing children or paying for children to be conceived by either poor women or in poor families and so forth. And that is commercialized. Teenagers may be used to manufacture innocent human beings who are produced for, unfortunately, abortion, to harvest the organs, for any kind of a degradation of the value and dignity of life. And the reason that we are concerned about this is we see technology advancing farther than we have the law to cover that technology.
Okay, Nellie, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in your quest for March for Life.
Thank you.
And we will have much more on this issue as we continue on 4 News Now. And still lots more to come on 4 News Now. People who are in danger of losing their homes because they can't pay for their solar water heaters. Jack Appleton will have that story. Bob Mayer will be along with a 4-year money report. Is your pension safe? Will the money you save still be there? And 28 years old and still living at home? It's becoming more the rule than the exception. Details when News Now returns. Stay with us.
Hey, Dad, it's payday. Let's go to Sizzler. My treat.
Right now, Sizzler's offering 2 delicious sirloin steak dinners, and you get both for only $8.99. 2 juicy sirloin steaks, grilled to order, both with your choice of baked potato, rice, vegetable, or fries. So treat yourself and someone you love to a hearty steak dinner. But hurry, it's only for a limited time.
That was great. We ought to do this more often.
What does he think I am, made of money?
Sizzler.
When it comes to health care, babies are different from you and me. In fact, all children from infants right on up to teenagers need their own brand of medicine. That's why Memorial Hospital in Hollywood created the Memorial Hospital Children's Center, a children's hospital serving South Florida with a complete range of children's services. The Children's Center at Memorial Hospital, special medicine for small and not so small health problems.
If your nights are getting way too late, the sag in your mattress may be getting way too deep. You need a beauty rest. Its unique individually wrapped coils are pre-compressed to give you a comfortable mattress that stays forever firm. Sleep on a beauty rest, and here's something you haven't heard in years.
Good night, hon.
Beauty Rest by Simmons. Forever firm.
Every beauty rest is now on sale at all Mattress Giant locations.
Another Home Depot certified advantage. Better selection.
Yeah, that's good. More than anybody else. I like it.
Take paint. You won't find a selection like ours anywhere. The best brands at the best prices every day.
Yeah, I like that. Tell me more.
We have Thompson's Water Seal, perfect for sealing wood, cement, even fabric. We also carry Formby's Furniture Facelift to restore fine wood in minutes. At Home Depot, low prices are just the beginning.
Chrysler Plymouth, Saab, Alfa Romeo, Jeep Eagle. What do they have in common that makes them unique? Now you can find them all at one unique dealer, Tamiami, where you'll also find the lowest prices. Plymouth Voyager vans from $12,295. LeBaron convertibles from only $12,995. Jeep Wranglers start at $97.95. And Cherokees with free air from only $10,995. One dealer, one car for every lifestyle. We've got your car at Tamiami.
Beyond the hustle and bustle of life, there is a place known as the Cooler World, a delicious, refreshing place. You can experience the cooler world with Seagram's new tropical fruit coolers and possibly win an all-inclusive 7-day getaway for 2 at the luxurious Lucayan Beach Resort and Casino, a superb oceanfront casino in the Bahamas. Look for this display and contest information at participating stores.
Seagram's tropical coolers are available at Winn-Dixie.
On our next A Current Affair, the lawyer takes her briefs.
A Current Affair, weekdays at 7 following NBC Nightly News, only on Channel 4.
And welcome back to 4 News Now, a new way to look at the news. And speaking of the news, let's go to our news desk for some of today's top stories with Susan Lichtman. Susan?
Thanks, Tony. Some of today's stories making news: an investigation by the FBI and other federal agencies into the University of Miami involving alleged financial irregularities that could involve U of M athletes. Merritt Alonzo Sims, now named as the prime suspect in the murder of a Miami Springs police officer last week, held in jail in Sacramento, California, awaiting extradition to Florida. And a Palm Beach judge has put in a modified gag order in the so-called Kennedy rape case, allowing William Kennedy Smith and other witnesses to speak publicly. Anyone else must keep silent outside the courtroom. Tony?
Okay, Susan, some other stories making news tonight. Florida lawmaker Tom Lewis pushing a measure through Congress calling for safer air travel. He's sponsoring a bill to make sure federal money earmarked for airports goes to exactly that. Lewis says too often those funds are cut from the federal budget to make up deficits. His bill would guarantee that the Airport and Airway Trust Fund go untouched, money that comes mostly from the flying public through airport taxes. A consumer group targeting what it calls insurance ripoffs. Citizen Action says it's found private insurance companies basically doing whatever they please, either denying coverage or charging comparatively higher premiums to patients under 65 years old. The group's pushing for standardized rates through a universal health care program run by the government. Well, a consumer battle over solar water heaters could cost 12,000 Florida families their homes. And yesterday, troubleshooter Jack Atherton broke this story. He's got more on this exclusive report. What in the world is going on here?
Can you imagine this, Tony?
I can't imagine. No, it doesn't make any sense.
More than 200 viewers have already called our help center, and they need the kind of help that our volunteers are getting for this Hialeah man.
Storm clouds are gathering over these solar panels Jorge de la Hoz bought for more than $3,000 so he could heat up the water in his Hialeah home.
Forget it. I cannot sleep anymore because the only thing comes to my mind, to my brain, is this situation.
Jorge bought the heater along with a 20-year maintenance contract from Nationwide Power Corporation. But soon, he started getting one letter after another from different companies claiming they had bought his contract from Nationwide. What Jorge didn't get was service.
When they sent me a new letter was when they was requesting that we, the owner, because of the high cost of maintenance, we had to do the maintenance. We called Tallahassee.
Well, wait a minute. You were paying them $100 a year to do the maintenance, and they're telling you you have to do the maintenance?
Exactly.
And you still had to pay?
Yes, I had the letter there.
So Jorge stopped paying, but he didn't realize that the fine print of his contract gave the company the right to slap a lien on his property and foreclose on it. So Jorge called the help center, and we got this attorney, Rod Logan, to represent Jorge free of charge, besides defending his client.
Also filed a counterclaim against the bad guys.
For all the money Jorge's had to pay someone else to maintain his heater. And in addition to that, the state attorney general's office is coming to bat.
Right now, we're seeking to sue them to stop them from being able to foreclose on the mortgages.
Meanwhile, though, if you get a summons, you will need a lawyer. So Keith Groomer's law firm is starting a class action. Their representation is not free. It'll cost you about $500.
That's true, but there are strength in numbers. And it's hoped that with all these people, we'll be able to get the liens removed and even possibly recover some damages against these people.
Now, the companies refuse to talk with us, and we cannot endorse this class action. But if you want some more information about it, Keith Groomer is with our volunteers right now in the Help Center, and you can call him free of charge. From Dade, the number is 379-HELP, and in Broward, it's 523-HELP. Back to you, Tony.
Okay, Jack, thank you very much. That's an amazing story. All right, still lots more ahead on 4 News Now, including the story of a family, the wife and son, a matter of fact, of a comatose man bickering over whether he should be allowed to die. At stake his $1 million estate. The historic Sears Tower in downtown Miami offered up as a performing arts center. The Art Deco details, and we will continue our News Now report, the ethics of transplants. 4 News Now continues.
Join me for What's Cooking right after this message from Winn-Dixie.
In most stores, when you buy magazines, snacks, greeting cards, pantyhose, and lots of other items, you pay the full package price. But not at Winn-Dixie, where you get a 10 to 25% discount every day.
Got the munchies? No problem. Winn-Dixie discounts national brand chips 10% every day. How about a midnight snack? Winn-Dixie also has a whopping 10% discount on bread every day.
Norway has 12,000 miles of coastline that faces out on deep, cold, unpolluted waters. Waters filled with cold water shrimp that have delighted cooks for hundreds of years. Today I'm going to use them in a recipe for sautéed flounder with a topping of Norwegian shrimp. A little vegetable oil goes into a sauté pan to heat up. Meanwhile, fillets of flounder or sole are given a light dusting of flour, dipped into an egg wash made up of beaten eggs and milk, and coated with breadcrumbs. The oil is hot, the fish goes in. 3 minutes on one side, flip, 3 minutes on the other side. Out of the pan and onto the serving plate. Back in the same pan, a little more vegetable oil. A few tablespoons of your favorite seasonings. Cayenne pepper, basil, oregano, thyme, whatever you like. But let the oil and the seasonings cook together for about 30 seconds. That'll bring up the flavor. Then in go the prawns. 2 minutes of cooking and stirring to coat them, then on to the fish. Finish off with broccoli, carrots, rice, and it's time to eat. If you'd like a copy of that recipe, just send me a stamped self-addressed envelope marked fish fillets with Norwegian prawns. Send it to me at Box 2000 Ansonia Station, New York City. The zip is 10023. From the Grand Hotel in Oslo, Norway, that's what's cooking for today. I'm Bert Wolf.
During Double Deal Days, save right now at your Toyota dealer. Plus, save down the road. You can save $900 on Camry's Extra Value Package right now. And Camry keeps maintenance costs down mile after mile. Now add factory-to-dealer incentives and you've got even more savings. Consumers Digest named Camry a best buy. How about today's special Camry Easy Drive lease? See your Toyota dealer now during Double Deal Days. Save now and save later. Hey, that's my line.
40 years ago, Dunkin' Donuts made the freshest donuts you could buy.
I still do, in up to 52 varieties. But I made them fresh, day and night. I still do.
Really? Dunkin' Donuts, the freshest then, the freshest now. Now even losing lottery tickets are worth some dough. Bring in any losing lottery ticket to participating Dunkin' Donuts and get $1 off a dozen donuts.
Are you ready to face a hurricane? If your home is destroyed, do you have the right kind of insurance to rebuild it? And how will you survive in the meantime? Animals are not allowed in shelters, so where will you take your pets? And what should you do with your boat? How will you get medical treatment, even medications? I'll tell you everything you need to know to survive a hurricane on my special brought to you by these sponsors. Watch Ready, Set, Hurricane Saturday night at 7 right here on Channel 4.
And welcome back to 4 News Now. I'm Tony Segreto. If you're just joining us, we're about 2 minutes past, half past the hour. We've been covering a lot of ground today on a number of issues, including today's top stories and our Now report, the practice of parents having a child for the express purpose of using them as a transplant donor. We will now explore the ethics of that. A For Your Money report. Is your pension safe? Bob Mayer investigates. And more kids graduate college only to go back home and live. Susan Lichtman's life in the 90s. But first, let's go to our news desk now with Teresa Rodriguez in today's top stories. Terry?
Thank you, Tony. An emotional court battle takes a new turn tonight over a Fort Lauderdale man's right to live or die. The sad drama is turning a mother and son against each other. Channel 4's Bev White joins us live from the Broward County Courthouse with details. Bev?
Teresa, the hearing is underway right now on the 8th floor of the Broward County Courthouse in the hearing chambers of Broward Circuit Judge John Miller. Now, the issue revolves around Sam Stone, the 77-year-old comatose millionaire whose in a local hospital right now, as he has been for almost a year and a half. Now, his son and his wife are upstairs haggling about whether or not the plug should be pulled on this man. And his son recently testified just moments ago that the treatment is costing him $650 a day.
Just a patient, just someone that's lying there. He's not my father. I don't foresee that my father, knowing my father for 39 years, would not want to be kept in the state that he's in.
Written exhibit. Now, that's 39-year-old Kenneth Stone, the millionaire's son who traveled here from Massachusetts. He's asking the Broward Circuit judge for permission to disconnect his comatose father. His dad, pictured here with his wife Maxine, now lies in a comatose state at a Los Olas hospital. And again, that is the issue here tonight. Now, it is operative to remember that this man is a millionaire, and his son says it's costing him $650 a day to maintain treatment. The wife, Maxine, contests the argument from the son. Kenneth wants to pull the plug. Maxine wants him to stay alive. She wants to maintain all means of life support to keep her husband of 20 months alive. As it happens, she stands to inherit $100,000 if Samuel Stone lives at least until October. The hearing, as we indicated, Teresa, is underway right now. It started at about 2:30 and is expected to continue through the night. They've been hearing from expert witnesses, including many doctors who have treated and visited with Samuel Stone. Again, he's in a local hospital, a Los Olas hospital, in what they're calling a permanent vegetative state. We'll have more on this as it becomes available. Back to you.
Thank you, Bev, for that live report. Another emotional controversy heating up tonight over the toughest new anti-abortion law in the country. Louisiana lawmakers overrode a gubernatorial veto outlawing all abortions except in cases of rape, incest, or when the mother's life is in danger. Doctors who perform illegal abortions can be jailed and fined. Pro-choice groups vow to fight the law in federal court. Well, now let's go to Channel 4's Steve Abrams live in our Fort Lauderdale newsroom with a look at other stories making news in Broward County. Steve?
Teresa, there is no bond tonight for former pro boxer Trevor Berbick. The one-time WBC heavyweight champ had his first court appearance in Fort Lauderdale to face sexual battery charges. Berbick's accused of raping his child's babysitter. He says he is innocent and the Lord will help him prove it. Berbick will be transferred to Dade County Jail later this week. Two victims of a brutal home invasion in Pompano Beach are in fair condition tonight at Humana Cypress Hospital. The elderly couple was attacked Monday morning by a suspect police believe won the trust of his victims. John and Jacqueline Tees were beaten so badly it took them hours to finally call for help. The suspect remains on the loose. The plane that wouldn't budge has finally been moved tonight from a field in Pembroke Pines. Salvage crews lifted away the Cessna, which was forced to make an emergency landing last Friday. Pilot Carlos Barker wasn't seriously hurt. Investigators will now try to find out why. Smoke filled the cockpit, forcing Barker to ditch in the mud. Hollywood City Commission is voting tonight on whether to ban controversial ad racks. The sidewalk racks found in most cities offer free papers that advertise things like cars, boats, and real estate. But critics complain the racks in Hollywood are tacky and get in the way of pedestrians. They also say the racks cause extra litter because folks often read the papers and then just toss them out. And that's a look at what's happening in Broward County tonight. Terry, now back to you in our Miami newsroom.
Okay, thank you, Steve. More now on that breaking story we told you about earlier. Allegations of financial irregularities at the University of Miami. A number of current and former students, some of them student athletes, reportedly received federal aid to which they were not entitled. We just talked by phone with former UN Athletic Director Sam Jankovic. Here's what he had to say.
I believe that it's a most unfortunate finding, and I am amazed that Tony Russell would have any access to financial aid whatsoever. Knowing the University of Miami and Tad Foote's commitment to compliance of NC2A and all federal rules, I know that they will conduct a very thorough investigation and that I personally and professionally will cooperate in any way possible.
We will, of course, be tracking that story throughout the evening and have more as it becomes available. A potential Art Deco battle has been diffused. Sears is donating its historic building in downtown Miami for the site of a new art center. Channel 4's Brian Allen tells us about the plan to preserve the building and bring a new home to the arts in South Florida.
We think this is just a magnificent site. We think it's right for every possible reason.
That was Miami Mayor Xavier Suarez's reaction to the news of Sears offering to donate its historic Art Deco building as the site for the new Miami Arts Center. The building has been a Miami landmark for 62 years, and the building's unique Art Deco style will be incorporated into the new Arts Center.
When the Trust approached us with their proposal to renovate the building into a cultural complex containing a theater, fine arts museum, and an educational component, we felt it would be an ideal use for the building.
The Sears donation completes more than a year-long effort to get the Arts Center off the ground. Already, Knight Ridder has entered into an agreement with the Performing Arts Center Trust for land across the street from the Sears building. When the renovation of the Sears building is finished, it will be home to an opera house and permanent fine arts museum. The Arts Center Trust found they had a friend in Sears when they were trying to put this deal together.
A national company, one that has interests in business and in communities all over the United States, took such a tremendous interest in this project.
The Sears building will be left intact for this arts project. Most of the renovation will be inside. The new Arts Center will offer the city a permanent multi-use facility as well as help in the downtown development project.
What is going to be accomplished in the Omni area is going to extend and complete the downtown. It's going to be a gateway to the Northeast and return Biscayne Boulevard to its glory days.
The Sears building hasn't been used since its doors were locked in 1983, but soon the city will have a new home for the performing arts. In Miami, Brian Allen, Channel 4 News.
Well, this is the happiest day of the year for students throughout Dade County. That's because it was the last day of school. About 13,700 students graduated from Dade high schools this year. And a very emotional story in the world of sports. Cancer claiming the once golden left arm of one of baseball's all-time pitchers. Dave Dravecky having his left arm and shoulder removed today to try to stop the spread of cancer. The courageous star attempted a comeback after earlier cancer surgery, but his arm broke during a pitch, ending his career. Now let's check in with Brian Norcross in the Weather Center. Brian?
Okay, Terry, we've got some showers around. The good news is the showers are moving away from the metropolitan area and inland. Let's go ahead and check in on the radar here. Here's the Clearview radar showing you lots of clearing along the coast. Still a shower just by the city of Miami, another one up by Fort Lauderdale. But the heavy stuff is inland, and that's going to be the trend here over the next couple days. The southeast looks like this with the showers along the coast, holding the temperature in Miami down to 82. Atlanta is cooler at 77 with showers in the area there. In the northeast, right along the coast, clouds keeping the temperatures down, but inland, lots of sunshine with 86 at Syracuse, but only 66 at New York City. In the Midwest, big batch of sunshine right here centered on Chicagoland as the temperature's warm there, but you see cooler at Knoxville and cooler up here at Fargo with showers there. Out west, lots of sunshine in the southwest, 102 at Phoenix and 69 at L.A. Here's your forecast for South Florida. For tonight, a few storms around, 76 fading out later on tomorrow. Afternoon storms again, mostly inland, though, 91 in your 4 more days. Storms mostly inland, so a little better weather, I think. Not quite so rainy weather coming up. Tony?
Brian, I thought something would change by the last time we talked with you, but I guess not. You know, this week the Census Bureau reported a new trend that's definitely changing life in the 90s, and it has to do with young adults. In fact, young adults are living at home longer than they planned, and I'm sure certainly longer than their parents had planned. Deanna Hayward is right in the heart of this story, and Susan Lichtman joins us now. You call these boomerang kids?
That's right. Boomerang kids are kids who go to college, yeah. They go to college, and then when they graduate, instead of going out on their own, they move back in with their parents. It's not necessarily something that they want to do, it's something that they have to do. Welcome to life in the 90s.
The determination of your will that decides your future and shapes your life.
It's a rite of passage, graduation, the lofty speeches and the last vestiges of irresponsibility. It's a ceremony that holds tremendous promise. That diploma is supposed to be your ticket to the American dream. The great job, the fancy car, the nice apartment. But lately, it's been nothing more than a one-way ticket home. Deanna Hayden graduated 2 years ago, but with no job offers, she moved back home.
Mom, what kind of fish is for dinner?
Deanna finally got hired by an insurance company, but she's still living at home. Why? She's trying to save money.
I love being home. I'm close to my parents, and my mom has good cooking. We're relating as adults now. Not as a mother-daughter, but more as one adult to another adult.
I sent in a demand, and we're still waiting receipt of the demand.
Mark Hirsch graduated from law school in 1987. But when Mark opened his own law practice, the only way to afford it was to kiss his apartment goodbye. At the age of 27, Mark's moving back home.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Good, I'm hungry.
Mark's brother Gary never left. At 24, he runs an optical business. Gary plans to live at home for another 2 years. How long do you think you will live at home?
Less than 6 months. I gave it a year.
Mark, no, you'll see how easy it is once you come back.
Yeah.
The high cost of living and a decision to delay marriage has created this new group of boomerang kids. According to a 1990 study, 77% of children under 24 have never been married. 2/3 of those, more than 19 million people, are still living with their parents. But it's not all great meals and having your laundry done. Young people have difficulty moving home, and parents have a hard time accepting their kids now as adults.
Parents are parents. You come home and they drill you with questions. Where'd you go? Who were you with? And sometimes you want to just come home and be left in peace.
There's loss of privacy and freedom. Take the issue of Deanna's social life.
I completely understand where my parents are coming from, that in their house, they don't necessarily want my boyfriend staying over, and I understand that. Granted, he does anyway. Well, when my dad is out of town, he can stay over. Mom is cool.
Boomerang households go through critical periods of adjustment, and it has to do with everyone finally deciding that they're all adults and getting rid of the traditional parent-child relationships. It takes a tremendous amount of patience, straight talk, communication, and a real understanding of the other person's point of view.
I would think that parents have to be concerned with now if the children come back home lazy, not motivated.
Sleeping till noon, staying up till 3 o'clock in the
couch
morning.
potatoes, basically.
Well, you were a boomerang kid, and look what happened to you. You turned out okay. It really depends on the individual family, and I think that parents probably need to set up some parameters with their kids when they come home to say, look, this isn't a free ride. You're going to have to go look for a job every day, set aside the day. Your job is to find a job. And usually it's the way the kids were brought up that continues on through during this period.
Sounds good in theory.
Just like you.
Okay, right. All right, coming up next on 4 News Now, we will revisit our Now Report, a very controversial subject. That subject, conceiving a child to cure another. And then later in this show, is your pension safe? Will it be there when you retire? Stay with us. 4 News Now continues.
For years, I've done some wild things in our commercials to let you know you'll always get the guaranteed best prices on Michelin tires at Tire Kingdom. You'll also find one of the biggest selections of long mileage Michelin tires anywhere, backed by Tire Kingdom's exclusive mileage guarantees. And at Tire Kingdom, you'll get the fastest service in town. We'll install your Michelin tires in 45 minutes or less, guaranteed. So for the best prices, great selection, guaranteed mileage, and the fastest service anywhere, come to Tire Kingdom.
The world's largest indoor flea market at Miami Beach Convention Center is here now through Sunday, with shopping fun for everyone. Now expanded to over 1,000 selling booths with all new and exciting merchandise. A world marketplace where everyone speaks the international language of low prices. Plus many special attractions and exotic foods. The world's largest indoor flea market at Miami Beach Convention Center, open noon daily. It's more than a flea market, it's a phenomenon.
The Corlick sisters on Denny's new Grand Slam menu.
Here's the future Hall of Fame member, the Harvest Slam. You're supposed to introduce Tony Gwynn. Does he want these new whole wheat apple nut hot tea? He wants to get in the Hall of Fame. What's he done that's as great as this? He's had 4 batting titles. Well, he never had a Grand Slam. So back to the Hall of Famer from Lenny's. Denny's.
Try the Harvest Slam breakfast, one of Denny's incredible, irresistible new Grand Slams. Suddenly, it's a whole new ballgame.
Hard water stains are the toughest stains in toilet bowls, and I ought to know. It's my job to clean them. So I use Snowbowl Toilet Bowl Cleaner. Snowbowl is 50% stronger than Lysol or Vanish, so it powers out even the toughest hard water stains better, faster. Take it from a pro. You want to finish a tough job better, faster? Use Snowbowl. It's the toilet bowl cleaner with real muscle.
Snowbowl and Snowdrops are available now at these fine stores.
Double deal days means you'll save now at your Toyota dealers, but it also means you save later. You can save up to $1,000 in Corolla's extra value packages right now. How about Corolla's year after year low maintenance costs? But after you add factory to dealer incentives, you've got a lot more savings. But Corolla's reliability keeps you saving. Get even more savings now with dealer discounts. See your Toyota dealer now during double deal days. Save now and save later. And save me from this guy.
Investigators allege this lawyer had seduced his desperate and pretty clients in exchange for his legal fees and then videotaped their steamy sex sessions. The lawyer takes her briefs.
A Current Affair, weekdays at 7 following NBC Nightly News, only on Channel 4.
Her marriage was to have been the wedding of the decade and will go on the set of Julia Roberts' new movie for the exclusive Inside Story, only on Entertainment Tonight.
Weeknights at 7:30, only on Channel 4. You could use a crystal ball, although reliability is questionable. Tea leaves, there's an idea. A little messy though, huh? Your horoscope, good thinking. Let's see, a domestic tranquility upset by surprise addition. Unfortunately, these things can be misleading.
Us.
When your number's up, there's only one way to make sure you'll be the first to know. The Lotto Drawing. Live, Saturday nights at 11, only on Channel 4.
And welcome back to 4 News Now. We continue with our Now Report. We told you about this earlier, the continuing controversial topic of conceiving for a cure, where parents have children for the sake of transplant donors to save another child. People are worried about where this is headed. Let's go to Pam Salisbury now with more on the story. Pam?
Tony, we polled doctors in South Florida and across the country about the ethics of the Ayala decision, and basically they take a rather pragmatic approach and see nothing wrong with producing a life in order to rescue another life. But I should also say that they see a dark side to all of this and expressed concerns about modern science carrying this practice to the point of extreme.
She was kicking me.
Even before the Ayalas were thrust into the medical spotlight, there was intense controversy over the uses of living tissue, concerns that women would bring babies into this world just to harvest body parts. Of course, now that issue's heating up again.
I don't find that really that objectionable if it saves the life. And I think when you, especially with the story that went on, this was a family, a loving family that was trying to do everything, even donating their own, trying to find anything. They had a son who was not compatible, and they tried for years to try and get some compatibility and find somebody in a data bank. But after a period of years, it became obvious they were not going to get any, and their daughter's was going downhill. And it was just a matter of time with CML that she would die. So I think under those circumstances, it's understandable. And I think time will show whether they made the right decision or not.
Raskin also worries that no one is standing by to protect the rights of unborn children who might be donors.
The unborn fetus doesn't have the same rights that a child who is born does. The live child does have rights, but the rights are not being protected by society. And I think the ethical dilemma is, what kind of rights do the children have that organs or tissues can be taken without their consent?
Beyond painful family conflicts, bioethicists look ahead to medical risks that may confront living relatives who serve as donors. Little Marissa Ayala was lucky. Her health was never in danger. She came out of the procedure with just a little soreness in her hip.
It is a minor discomfort to the child, but there are many other types of organs that are, or tissues that's being donated. Kidneys, for instance, which is going to leave the donor with one kidney and very much more susceptible to infection. Plus, you're putting them through a major operation. There's even organ donors for pieces of liver. Usually it's adults, but there is morbidity and even mortality associated with donors.
Between the wondrous side of the Ayala story and the frightening scenarios looming lies a slew of public emotions. They run the gamut.
I think what better reason to have a child? I mean, people are having children for no reason at all, so might as well have one for something good.
I think it's disgusting. I think having one child to just save the life of another one, it's just too risky for the one they're just having.
I'd say that would be up to the parents. As long as it's not life-threatening to the unborn child, it'd be their decision.
But Dr. Raskin does see an ominous possibility that a fetus conceived for a cure might never be born.
To abort an unborn fetus for the purpose of organ harvesting or tissue harvesting. This may become more prevalent as we find that certain tissues can have potential to regenerate, for instance, nerve tissue and nervous endings, which is being experimented on now.
All right, clearly there are no easy answers here, Tony. Dr. Raskin told me it's not a black and white issue. And, you know, the fact that more and more people understand that parents will do most anything to save the lives of their children, to protect their lives, we are more than likely going to see more cases like the Ayalas being born in this country.
And as we found out, one issue leads to another and leads to another.
That's right.
Thanks, Pam.
No easy answer.
Want a leg up on what's going to happen tomorrow? Well, here's a look at some of tomorrow's news. Pope John Paul II will be dealing with this transplant issue, endorsing organ donation at a meeting with 600 transplant experts in Rome. No word on how the Pope feels about the use of babies for transplants. The International Green Cross will be starting a fund tomorrow to help prosecute Saddam Hussein for alleged war crimes against the environment. The group is releasing new videos tomorrow of the ecological damage. And when we come back on News Now, will your pension be there when you retire? A special for-year money report from Bob Mayer on how those golden years may turn into nightmares. 4 News Now continues.
Introducing the Pizza Hut Early Bird. Not just pizza. 6 super early bird meals, 6 super early bird deals. A supreme sandwich, ham and cheese sandwich, spaghetti and meat sauce, all-you-can-eat salad bar, a choice of pizza dinners, all served with drinks from 2 to 5.
Pain from just one sensitive tooth can start the domino effect. Pain can make you stop brushing, lead to plaque buildup, gingivitis, periodontal disease, even tooth loss. Sensodyne toothpaste helps stop the pain and the domino effect.
I've really got to get some Z's. Introducing single-dose maximum strength Nitol. Just one will help you fall fast asleep fast. New maximum strength Nitol. Just one Nitol will help you get a lot of Z's.
If I won Lotto, I'd become a famous concert pianist and go on world tour. Is my plan. First I get a piano, then I get some music, then I get some lessons. Then I hop in my private jet and zoom off around the globe, bringing music to millions of my adoring fans. Then I go to London and give a command performance for the Queen of England.
If you won Lotto, you could do practically anything you wanted.
Maybe after the show I could meet some dukes, hang out, have tea.
Get that right?
Perfect.
Back in 5, Stephanie?
When you're trying to eat right, days like this are a disaster. Is this it?
Stephanie Powers talks about Kellogg's Nutri-Grain.
The only time I really control what I eat is at breakfast. And the whole grain in Kellogg's Nutri-Grain gives me a natural start. No sugar added, no preservatives, nothing fake. No matter what I eat later, at breakfast I call the shots.
Naturally good. Nutri-Grain, the natural place to start.
I eat. I eat chocolate, potato chips, hamburgers.
Introducing a new idea in dieting. Exercise. It makes your body burn calories faster, so the weight you take off stays off, even when you're not working out. Exercise. It won't make you stick to a diet, but it will make your diet stick.
Size 26 jeans are pretty hip.
For total fitness, join Valley Scandinavia now and get 1 year for just $99. Call 1-800-695-7777.
Do you want to save money and put some luxury into your life? Here's another Pompano Lincoln Mercury price buster. A brand new 1992 Mercury Grand Marquis for only $16,900. That's right, only $16,900. Hi, I'm Colin Nixon and this is Tasha. And before you buy a Cadillac, a Buick, an Oldsmobile, or anything that claims to be a luxury car, come in and test drive and compare. Nothing beats the all-new 1992 Mercury Grand Marquis. Nothing.
Hey, Dad, it's payday. Let's go to Sizzler. My treat.
Right now, Sizzler's offering 2 delicious sirloin steak dinners, and you get both for only $8.99. 2 juicy sirloin steaks, grilled to order, both with your choice of baked potato, rice, vegetable, or fries. So treat yourself and someone you love to a hearty steak dinner. But hurry, it's only for a limited time.
That was great. We ought to do this more often.
What does he think I am, made of money?
Sizzler.
And welcome back. Bob Mayer joins us. Do I have to worry about my pension? I mean, I'm only 41. I mean, do I have to start concerning myself now?
You have to worry plenty about your pension.
Really? Is it that bad?
Yes, it is. Let's first of all set the record straight. A pension is a fringe benefit. There is no law that says your company has to give you a pension. In fact, they can cut it off. They can terminate your pension just by notifying the IRS and the Labor Department properly. Fact is, there are public and private pension plans covering an estimated 60 million workers in this country to the tune of nearly $2 trillion. That is slightly less than the gross national product. All of that to provide for this, retirement, the good life, what most of us aspire to. And whether it's golf or boating or tennis, many of us look forward to taking a few more swings at the pleasures of life when we retire. But that pension fund you may be counting on could be the sand trap that ruins your game plan. Is your money going to be there when you need it?
I don't think so.
Gus Puyens and the other 4 former Eastern workers in this room have more than 100 years of service with Eastern Airlines, which shorted their pension fund by $1 billion.
I'll survive. It's going to hurt my kids.
You counted on it.
Definitely. Of course.
Finding out if your pension fund is safe isn't entirely easy. To start, you'll need to get a copy of your pension summary annual report. But getting it's the easy part. Then you got to read it. Could the average worker understand what he needs to understand out of a summary judgment?
In the vast majority of cases, absolutely not.
Pension lawyer Donald Jarrett says you can get help from your employer or even an attorney. But unless you find outright fraud, you're not likely to be able to change a thing.
And absolutely not. This is a plan and a contract and a lengthy legal document that is designed at the request of, and the contents are dictated by the employer.
And if you don't like it?
If you don't like it, you can walk with your feet. And you can find a job at a company that provides what the employee would consider more appropriate retirement benefits.
If you find your pension fund heavily invested in junk bonds, for example, complain loudly. But be aware that for a lot of reasons, your pension may not be there when you need it. And most likely, your pension alone will never be enough to live on.
It just doesn't happen.
Gotta save.
You gotta save.
Did you ever think this could happen to your pension?
No, I don't think anybody did. I think everybody thought their pensions were absolutely safe.
And now?
No, nobody's pension is safe.
A recent study shows that most of us believe that Social Security and our pensions will take care of us after retirement. The fact is, that just will not be the case in most cases. Don't count on your pension, period. Tony? Great news, Bob. Thanks a lot. And that's 4 News Now. Thank you so much for watching. Don't go anywhere. Channel 4 News at 6 is next with Susan Lichtman and Tom Randall. Good night, everyone.
Watch our teamwork, Channel 4 News.
From your 24-hour news source, this is Channel 4 News at 6 with Kelly Craig, Tom Randalls, meteorologist Brian Norcross, weather, Tony Segreto, sports, and the Channel 4 News team.